Hello again, Dave here, and today another little sharing of a spiritual story. Now, when we become healers, we're starting in the world of connecting ourselves with the universe, basically. So quite often we'll start our healing journey with something like Reiki or a similar process. And with Reiki in particular, what happens is an instant attunement to the chakras, which then open more and can channel more energy. So as we begin channeling energy, we move on through energy into light and through light into consciousness. There's a blending between each level. As we work more and more with energy, we eventually start to touch into light. And then we move beyond energy into light, and then we move beyond light into consciousness. But all the time, energy is a basis, it's a kind of foundation for us. And for example, even if you only had the first degree of Reiki attunement, if you're using that all the time, particularly to bring healing energies to other people, you will develop to a tremendous amount without ever having another attunement. Of course, the additional attunements do bring additional tools to the toolbox, so to speak. So today I'd like to share with you a little story about how we can access different energies that we might never ever consider. So some years ago, I think around about 2006, I was being pushed to create a new essence for a client. And I was being guided to a tree, and I was told to prepare the essence bottle and place it in the tree and leave it 24 hours. So I did just that, and then 24 hours later or thereabouts, I took the bottle of the essence, sat with it over my heart, tuned into it and channeled the reading from it. And shortly after that, I was asked to create a whole series of essences called the extreme essences. Here's one, for example. This is extreme guilt and shame. This one here is extreme anger. And the extreme essences over the years have proved to be some of my favourites. The one that came up for me, once they were first created for about 12 months, was extreme hate. Now, some of the names are quite startling and almost quite offensive if you think about it. But they're often the opposite of what they say on the label. So extreme hate is all about opening within your heart extreme love. So you're accessing the opposites. But basically, the extreme essences deal with all the deepest emotions that humans carry. But the question for me was, why did I have to create them through the tree? And more importantly, why did they have to be in the tree for 24 hours? Well, the answer to that soon came as I tuned in and consulted with the tree and consulted with the universe and read some more into the readings of the essences. I was shown the image of the tree just standing on the earth, one tree on the earth, sticking up like that. And over a period of 24 hours, the tree was scanning the whole universe as the earth turned, well, in that trajectory, as the earth turned to bring back the vibrations I needed to create this particular essence range. So that is an example of how we can access things way beyond our imagination sometimes. And if we just follow the guidance, as with our healing, if we follow the guidance, then we always get some kind of a result. And these essences, since 2006, almost 20 years now, have proved just to be the most amazing transformational tools for people suffering all kinds of emotional issues. Anyway, that's an aside. Really, I'm using that to illustrate the fact that we can draw on energies that we never really think of. And I've had guides that have been extraterrestrial over the years. I remember moving into this cottage and there was some extraterrestrial beings in the woods just outside that made themselves known, and they were stuck here. So I did some work to release them and help them on the way back to where they should be. So extraterrestrial, or just not of this earth, which is all extraterrestrial means, outside of this realm, we can access some interesting things. But we can also access things from our earth, maybe from another time. And this is where I'm leading to in this particular sharing. I've been working with some friends on a small holding where they grow all kinds of plants and they supply to the markets, etc., etc. And they'd had a lot of difficulty with some dark energies, particularly over this last 6 months or so. I've been working with them to try and figure out what's going on, And when we're dealing with dark forces, what we have to do is reveal things a layer at a time. So we peel away the first layer and we see what's underneath, and we dissolve that, and we peel away that layer and we look underneath and we dissolve that, and so it goes on. And eventually you reach a point where you're getting down to the core issue, or the energy which is attracting, which is sometimes the case, attracting the problem. So sometimes the problem is coming in from outside, sometimes the problem is already there, but it's attracting in other things. So this particular client got in touch and said, Dave, I'm wondering whether this is karmic. I thought, no, this isn't karmic. I'd have spotted that a mile off. So while I'm reading the text, and I'm kind of at the same time in conversation with the guidance, I'm throwing my questions out there while I'm reading it, and the answers are coming back in. And then answer just came. It's magnetic, Dave. It's a magnetic, which, through a process of elimination, I would have probably come to in the next 30 seconds to a minute. But I'd have had to think about that. Whereas the guidance just gave me the answer. It's magnetic. So it's magnetically, there's something there that's magnetically attracting the dark energies. So, okay then, we'll look at that. So, the next thing is, I'm looking at the land, so I'm looking at the people here, I'm looking at the land there, and I'm seeing how everything is interrelated. How do the energies of the land influence the people? How do the energies of the people influence the landscape? Now, over the previous months, I'd done a couple of quite deep earth cleansing processes there. And after each of these, the dark forces really built up afterwards. So we learned from that, don't waltz in there and pour a load of light into the landscape, because it's not going to give you the result you want. What you're going to do is attract more dark forces. So working around that, I was just contemplating, okay, what do I do? Do I work with the people? Do I work with the landscape? And suddenly the guidance said to me, send in a T-Rex. Well, I kind of burst out laughing. And I was actually sending a text to the people at that point in time. And I just put the image of a T-Rex in and said, maybe we need a T-Rex or something like that. So, initially you laugh at these things, but the guidance is coming from a source that I've been working with for 30 odd years. I know this source, and although it has a bit of fun with me sometimes, by the same token, I've learned to absolutely trust it. And if it says send in a T-Rex, we must be able to send in a T-Rex. At that very moment in time, it threw me back into a memory from around 30 years ago, actually. I hadn't long had my awakening, maybe a few years before that. And my friend, who was a mechanic, one day lent me a dinosaur vertebrae. He said, go and play with this, Dave, because he knew I was very sensitive and did a lot with crystals. And so for a week or so, I took away this vertebrae, and it was quite a size. It was, this big, quite thick, maybe about that thick, and it was quite weighty. You know, this is the spine of a creature. And how he'd come across this was, in his youth, he used to work for a tunnelling company, and they were digging a tunnel one day for some project or other, and they came across this dinosaur skeleton. Well, they stopped the process, called in the archaeologists, who then excavated with the help of the tunnellers. And what they'd got was this rather large 20-odd metre dinosaur. And my friend and his colleague were given a vertebrae each, or a couple of vertebrae actually, for reporting it in. So I often wanted him to give me one of these, but he wouldn't part with it, but I can understand why. So one day I'm standing by the window in my office and I'm holding the vertebrae, and I'm just looking at it and examining it and not really feeling into it, when suddenly my physical body started rocking backwards and forwards like this. And it was like the power or the strength of it was in the spine, and I thought, what on earth's going on here? And then I saw light and dark flashing in front of my eyes, darkness and then light, and then darkness and then light. And so I'm going like this with this darkness and light and finding it quite humorous, because of the power of this thing had got hold of my body. And then it was as if I was suddenly inside the creature, and I was swimming through the ocean at tremendous speed, coming out of the water and back in, and out of the water, back in. And of course that was the light and the dark in the water, the light out, the dark in the water and the light out. And the rocking motion was this, like a dolphin going in and out of the water. Well, the fossil was from an ichthyosaur, which is a kind of prehistoric dinosaur, for want of a better description. But what I was really struck by was the power I felt when I was inside the body of this thing. The power was indescribable, the muscular power of this creature driving itself through the oceans. And it was quite a phenomenal experience. A couple of weeks later, a friend was having a bit of a gathering, and I took the piece of the spine and handed it round to a few people, and quite a few people had experiences from it. So the guides had said, send in a T-Rex, then they'd sent me straight back into this memory and said, remember how you accessed the energy of the dinosaur? Well, all those energies are here for us now. All we have to do is learn how to access them. So upon that, I conjured up a T-Rex and put it on the land, watching it very carefully, because you don't want to let a T-Rex energy out of sight for too long. You've no idea what it's going to do. So as the days unfolded, for the first couple of days it stood there and didn't really do much. It was as if it was just getting its bearings and standing and looking around. And it didn't really look as big as a T-Rex. It was quite small, but it was T-Rex energy. And then it was almost, when it began to take action, it was almost as if it was like a sheep or a cow, and it was mooching along, nibbling the grass. And I got this image of a vacuum cleaner. It's like the T-Rex was vacuuming all the dark energy out of the landscape. And it walked up and down in lines, and it carried on doing this for almost 2 weeks, until I was told to stand the T-Rex down, give it thanks, and put it back where it came from, which I did only a couple of days ago. Well, of course, as healers, we can't figure out whether our work is doing any good without we get the feedback from our clients. So when I stood the T-Rex down, I told the clients what was happening and asked had they felt anything, and they said it had been an amazing experience. They could really feel the energy of the T-Rex in the landscape, like it was protecting, looking after them, overseeing things. And so there's a result. So the next time you're doing some healing, If your guides say send in a T-Rex, just be very careful, but you can do it. And if that's what it needs in a certain situation, well, that's what it needs. So, coming back to our healing journey, our journey of being healers. You know, it's the most amazing life. When I had my awakening, the life I've had since that point in time, it would be impossible to imagine it. It's been absolutely phenomenal. And you know, even though I'm not really working that much with one-to-one clients these days, I'm still doing a lot of earth healing and cleansing. In fact, a case came in this morning and I looked at it straight away and yeah, I could see the problem with that, so let's start that. And but of course, what I want to encourage you with is the fact that, you know, you might just be starting on your healing journey and there's all these amazing things that are going to unfold in front of you if you allow yourself to work with your guidance and not be governed by rules and regulations. You've got to kind of step outside of that and just embrace the universe, unfold into the universal consciousness and allow that to guide you. Some years ago, I went on a course because there was a certain thing in earth healing I couldn't do. I tried and tried and tried and I couldn't make this one thing happen. And so I went to engage in a course with some people who became great friends. And I was sat with them one day after a workshop day and there was just the three of us in the room. And he said to me, "You know what your problem is, Dave?" And I said, "Well, I'm sure I've got many, but go on, enlighten me." He said, "You've got no teachers in the earth plane. They're all up in the universe. There's nobody here that can teach you. All your guidance comes from upstairs." And of course, that's how my journey has been. Now, some of us are very fortunate because we've got teachers we can call on. And I did in the early days go on many courses and I'm sure learned many things from many teachers. But what happened in many of the cases before I went on the course, it's almost like there was some download into my system. And then when I went on the course, everything we were taught seemed to be like a memory re-emerging of something I knew before. So as we're starting off on our healing course, so we'll take Reiki again, for example, we have the 12 positions of Reiki. That is a guideline. That's there to get you going. So use it while you need to use it. But if your guidance is coming in and asking you to put your hands in a different place or even stand remotely or whatever, then do that. Follow the guidance. The more you can connect with your guidance, the more powerful your healing will become, because you'll learn to step outside of yourself and just allow the universe to work through you. And that's what it's all about. It's about allowing the universe to do the work and just becoming the vessel through which the universe can work. And how that happens is through a process of raising our vibration. We allow the universe to raise our vibration by pushing us and pushing us and pushing us into things that we find more and more difficult. We have to keep challenging ourselves to go beyond our limitations, and in that process allow the universe just to push us more and more and more. So I think that'll do for today. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Dave, and I hope you're going to come back again soon and listen to another of my spiritual ramblings. See you soon.